Lord Mayor of Freiburg, Mr. Lange, Bishop Capio, Professor Jeff Harper, honorable members of the Advisory Board of the Kant Foundation, dear and honored guests, it is my great privilege to take part in this wonderful event today. My only regret is that I cannot speak with you today in German. We are an underdeveloped country. You have to forgive us. I am immensely grateful to the Kant Foundation for selecting Jeff Harper as its co-prize winner this year, and for inviting me to speak in praise of his extraordinary achievements. It is important that we in civil society acknowledge and celebrate our heroes, whose contributions we measure according to a calculus of justice and by their advance of human well-being, and not, as is the way of the mainstream, by worldly success through a calculus of wealth and media celebrity. By acknowledging our authentic heroes, we not only call attention to worthy individuals and express our appreciation and admiration to them, but we discover who we are, what we aspire to for the sake of human solidarity, and thereby cast before humanity a vision of justice in the making and justice in the doing. It is, if I may say so, a very Kantian enterprise. By honoring Jeff Harper, the Kant Foundation affirms an exceptional individual, but also brings attention to the struggle of the Palestinian people as a struggle for elementary justice in human affairs. And beyond this, that Jeff, as an Israeli, is an integral part of that struggle. It helps us to understand that this is not only a conflict between two peoples over land and identity, but it is a fight for the soul of the Israeli. As Jeff Harper repeatedly makes clear, his commitment is very much as an Israeli seeking the redemption and survival of his country. That is, Jeff's vision, enacted bravely over the course of several decades, is to render justice to the Palestinians for its own sake, but also for the sake of Israel, so that it might shed the mantle of settler colonialism and tribal nationalism and become a state that treats all those living within its borders as equal citizens, whether Jewish, Arab, or other. As Jeff himself has explained, this is a post-Zionist conception of Israel in which, in his words, Israel would be a Jewish state in the same way that Germany is a German state. On a political level, Jeff Harper reminds us there is another possibility than domination, dispossession, and violence in working out a sustainable relationship between these two tormented and tormenting people. Not only is there another way, but it is the only way that can bring peace and security. The present Israeli path brings suffering to the Palestinians, but it increasingly brings opposition to their policies and hostility to their participation in international society. Jeff Harper understands that struggles of this epic character are not primarily decided on military battlefields, but are determined in the end by the outcome of that second war, the legitimacy war, being waged for the hearts and minds of people throughout the world. The hard power of the South African apartheid state eventually lost the legitimacy war to the worldwide anti-apartheid movement. And despite its strength as a regime, with police and paramilitary total control of South African society, in the end it collapsed. The same could be said of the American effort in Vietnam. The United States was completely dominant militarily, winning every battle, yet losing the war. The outgunned Vietnamese mounted an amazing resistance, but as American militarists like to explain, the war was lost in the living rooms of American citizens as TV conveyed the devastation of Vietnam, the worthless sacrifice of American lives, and the morally dedicated struggle of the Vietnamese people against foreign colonialist invaders. The same is true of the Soviet defeat in Afghanistan and subsequent collapse, as well as the unlikely liberation of the East European countries from oppressive rule. The historic breaching of the Berlin Wall was so exciting because it was a great victory in the legitimacy war waged by the people of East Germany. And today we must not overlook the legitimacy war that is going on between Israel and Palestine. The Palestinians endured terrible suffering and devastation in Gaza during the one-sided attacks that occurred between December 27th and January 18th of this year. But Israel is undergoing a major setback in the legitimacy war. As Jeff Harper makes clear, and as the worldwide anti-apartheid campaign demonstrated, the nonviolent weapons of a legitimacy war consist of boycotts, divestment, and sanctions. And the worldwide support for such initiatives after the Gaza invasion has allowed the Palestinian struggle to now become the successor to the anti-apartheid movement as the culminating symbolic encounter of our time. It is now widely appreciated that without justice for the Palestinians, there can be no peace and stability in the Middle East. And without peace and stability in the Middle East, there will be tension and catastrophic danger for the entire world. There is a definite appropriateness in the choice of Jeff Halper as the honoree of the Kant Foundation. For Jeff Harper, like Immanuel Kant, allows his thought to be guided by moral imperatives that transcend tribal loyalties and rest on a premise of shared humanity. It is this conversion of moral clarity into knowledge and wisdom that allows the rational intellect to shape and condition our personhood. Unlike the great German philosopher, Jeff's life is not one of detached thought and reflection. Rather, it is very much the opposite, a life of continuous engagement on the level of action, of confronting Israeli state power not only with truth, but with one's body. In the end, what sets Jeff apart as a hero of our age is this unfolding of the life of the mind in his life of his body, within the context of the Palestinian struggle against dispossession and abusive occupation.